you know?
Let's talk about something I think you guys can both agree on, because I am baffled by this carnivore diet.
Yes.
I'm baffled.
Yes.
I'm baffled by how many people are clinging to it as a panacea. I'm baffled by whether or not it's a physiological effect or whether there's a placebo effect going on.
I have a theory.
Please.
Yeah. So my theory is that it mimics some of the benefits of fasting, but allows people to persist for longer because it's providing some nutrition. You know, if you look in the scientific literature, fasting is like the cure-all for everything.
I agree with you.
I mean, like you can look at any condition and fasting is the cure.
We're talking water fasting, so you can do it for 2, 3, 4 weeks.
The problem is try that for a year. You know,
Right.
That will be the cure for life in that case.
Well, the longest example is a year of water fasting.
So
actually.
most people
That's
are
that
not.
guy that lost, it was
Yeah,
300
Yeah,
plus
he was
pounds.
extremely
Yeah.
obese.
Right.
You know,
He
was
had a
living,
lot of energy stores to
living
use
off
up.
of his
Right.
fat stores. Right.
But the fascinating thing about that was that he actually, his skin shrank too,
Right.
which is really...
No, yeah, which doesn't usually happen with weight loss. So this is just a theory. I have nothing to,
Okay.
I don't have any evidence, but when meat is absorbed very high up in the digestive tract. And so when you only eat meat, it's a low residue diet, and there's nothing left over to irritate or inflame the gut. My theory is a lot of people who are benefiting from this have a really disrupted gut microbiome. Alessio Fasano has argued that leaky gut is kind of a precondition for autoimmunity. And the carnivore diet is essentially like a gut rest or a fast. And so I don't, doubt that people are benefiting from it. The question is, what is the long-term implication?
But there is no, there's a few people that have been doing it. There's some anecdotal evidence. People have been doing it for a few decades.
Well, it's pretty cool. I'm actually going on my homeboy Sean Baker's podcast in a few weeks.
You guys are homeboys?
Sean and I started as enemies. We love each other. Sean, I love you, brother. We're going to have an honest discussion as much as you can to say, why is Michaela Peterson feeling good? And you got to love that and honor that. If she had done water fasting, transitioning to an ultra clean diet, would she have done as well? Who knows? But to look at Sean Baker's labs and say pre-diabetic, low testosterone, high BUN, I'm concerned, although he just published his coronary artery calcium scan as 0, and I honor that. He's got little kids. I don't want the guy to drop dead, but it's way preliminary for the bandwagon that's growing.
The problem with the testosterone thing, though, is he said that he had been deadlifting the day before, and the day before he took his test. Could that have significantly decreased his testosterone?
Well, he said he repeated it a few times and it stayed low. But if your serum total,
it raised quite a bit.
It could have. It didn't raise.
It raised by 100%.
No, it was like 237. I can't memorize his labs, but
it's low though.
There's plenty of data. If your serum total testosterone is less than 250, it's an adverse mortality predictor. And he wants to be alive. He doesn't need to do it. Michaela Peterson and Jordan might need to do it until they find a better path. Mm-hmm. But Sean's adopted it. So there's the biggest puzzle is quickly. One of the things that plant-based eaters and people that fill 3/4 of their plate with fruit and vegetables get way more than everybody else is lots of vitamin C. And vitamin C builds healthy walls and builds healthy immune systems. You love vitamin C. I love vitamin C. I love it from foods. I don't mind it as a supplement. I don't mind it intravenous. Vitamin C is Linus Pauling. There's so many benefits to the body. Where are these people when every chart says that meat has no vitamin C? Are they eating raw meat, which might have vitamin C? Are they eating organ meat, which might have some vitamin C?
Let me stop you there, because I'll tell you what the explanation's been to me. The explanation to me has been that there is a decrease in absorption of vitamin C when you're consuming vitamin C with all these other things, cruciferous vegetables, carbohydrates, all these different things. That there's some sort of there's an adverse effect. Is that a fact?
Well, if you take 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C, you'll absorb a lot of it. If you take 10,000 milligrams, on percentage, you won't absorb as much, but you'll still get more than 1,000 milligrams. Right. But there's also this theory that since they're eating basically a no added glucose diet, that there's some kind of competition in us between glucose and C. So even if they get a touch of C, they're absorbing it hyper efficiently. Nobody knows. They haven't developed
they're getting
scurvy.
Their glucose from glucogenesis.
Internally, right, because they're adding, certainly it's a low-carb diet, no doubt about it.
It's
They're getting
a
little alpha-gal in there, maybe. That's about the only curb.
I think, the point is we just don't know.
We don't know.
Right. And
it seems so risky.
As a practitioner myself and as someone who's dealt with chronic illness who wasn't able to find help anywhere else, I do not begrudge people for sticking with something
Right.
that
That
when they've
works.
tried everything and nothing has worked, and they do this and they feel good. I mean, who can blame them? It's
Well, I've
really
gone to dinner with Jordan Peterson. And he's eating his big giant steaks, and he looks great.
Well,
I mean,
you know-
he's lighter than he's been since he was
that's
25
true,
years old.
and I'm 100% empathetic with
Right.
that, because I've been through something like that myself. But to then take that and say that we're certain that it's safe is a big leap.
Yeah. And the other thing is,
So
my field, atherosclerosis, takes years to develop. And I wish him well. He's contributing amazing things to the world. But unless he's tracking carotid and coronary and doing it year after year after year, it's an experiment you might not want to run.
But
if you
Sean
can find,
did run those tests,
Well,
and his
baseline,
results were
baseline.
And some nutrient deficiencies also take many years to develop.
Right.
Too,
So,
so that's another thing to consider.
Now, there's another guy that I follow online. I'm sorry, I forget the gentleman's name, but he advocates organ meat. And he's saying that organ meat, if you're just eating steak, that you've got an issue. But if you take into account liver and heart, kidneys, that you're going to get all these essential nutrients from that.
You're still not getting vitamin C that I'm aware of in any significant amount. You're not getting carotenoids and flavonoids. And,
So how are these people not getting scurvy?
polyphenols?
we don't know. We don't know.
Yeah. So we don't know is a good summation of is it possible that there's some mechanism that's going on? That,
I mean,
absolutely,
Sean
it's
posted
possible.
a picture. He was eating steak and cheese, so it's apparently not an all-meat diet. And I'm not slamming him. I really wish him well, and he can do what he wants. I don't know.
He's a very nice guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not slamming him either. But
I
I
agree,
not
but
so
the nose to
polite.
tail is important though, because the organ meats and then like the
Marrow.
fattier cuts of meat have glycine and other nutrients that are really important. If you're only eating lean meat, I think, I would be very concerned about that.
Children, do not try this at home. is the
Someone
advice.
tried to get me. They were saying you should try a carnivore diet for 90 days. And I said, well, the real problem with that would be I eat game, and that's extremely low
Very
fat.
lean,
It's
yeah.
not smart. And I like vegetables.
I love vegetables.
I like to eat them. I mean, I eat vegetables with essentially every single meal.
Yeah, that's very smart.
too.
As I
And
told you, it's an antidote, if
Yeah.
nothing else. I mean, it's awesome.
But I do think that it's entirely possible that maybe it's people that have this disrupted gut microbiome, but that some people might be alert. Like one of the things that Michaela Peterson brought up when she was on the podcast, that it might very well be that she's allergic to almost everything. She has some sort of an allergic reaction. I think you both think that could be because of a fucked up gut microbiome.
No doubt.
Absolutely.
It's absolutely. She
Yeah.
just hasn't had it evaluated. She started to laugh when I talked to my naturopath. That's what she should have kept on doing and gotten her gut analyzed and gotten her gut healed. I mean, maybe that would have helped her. It's, conjecture.
The problem with those naturopaths, it's like good psychics.
Can I
Try to find one.
I'll tell you an
Well, and
interesting.
it's also not all problems are solvable.
Right.
That's a really hard thing to accept.
Yeah.
But let's say you get in a car accident and your spine is crushed. Short of a miracle, that person's not going to fully regain their 100% of their, musculoskeletal capabilities, right? But we don't have that same understanding with other conditions, like health conditions. Let's say I go, to Indonesia and I get 10 parasites and, and then I have to take tons of antibiotics to deal with that. Is my gut ever going to return to 100% of the function that it had before that, even with all the right things? Maybe not. And so I'm not saying that the people should give up hope, but I'm saying that we have to separate between this is helping me and it's making me feel great and nothing else worked, and we know with 100% certainty that this is safe for the long term. Those are two very different questions. And again, I'm totally empathetic to that, and I would probably do the same thing.
Especially
in
a
their
person like
situation.
yourself that has gone through this process of being extremely unhealthy.
And I might
adjusting
even
your time.
say, hey, if maybe I'll die 5 years earlier, but I'll enjoy those years of my life. I won't be in pain and discomfort the entire time. Then sign me up. Or I might say to myself, well, wait, it can't be that good for me to be inflamed all the time, and that can't be good for me. So maybe even though the all meat diet might have some downsides, it actually might be reducing inflammation, and therefore that will cancel out. We just don't know.
But what about an all meat diet? The thing that gets me is there's no vitamin supplementation. I'm like, what about an all meat diet with good supplementation of multivitamins?
Be a pretty smart idea.
What about fiber?
Where's omega-3 coming from?
There's no
Is
fiber.
fiber essential?
Well, it's being questioned. I mean, is it as central to health in the medical literature Dr. Dennis Burkitt from England went to Africa, described fiber, described it, reduced all kinds of chronic diseases. He wrote a book called The Fiber Man and all. It's being questioned now. It's so entrenched. Have we got it all wrong? And only plants have fiber. It's a good question. Where are they getting their fiber? Their meat is sticking in their colon. It's called putrefaction for days and days.
Is it?
Yeah. Well, that is what happens in a high meat diet. There's a process.
But is it 100% and with every single person? When you chew it well and drink water, does it always get stuck?
Well, it's generally thought that it's fiber that is the process of moving abdominal contents, whether you eat an all-plant diet or a mixed diet.
I mean, I think there's definitely controversy about fiber, but I think the weight of the evidence still does suggest that fermentable carbohydrates, fiber, essentially,
make some butyric acid.
Are beneficial because they're very important for the microbiome, and we have people like Justin Sonnenberg at Stanford who's done a lot of good work here. Do we know with 100% certainty? No, but we also know that virtually every human population that's ever been studied had significant amounts of fiber in their diet. So if we're going
the
with
Maasai, right?
No, they did. So
they have a very high meat
the
diet,
warriors
but still.
the warriors consumed milk and meat and blood at certain times of year when they were, and other times of year they did eat more plant foods. So
the wise were eating lots of plants.
Even the Inuit, the traditional Inuit, they had during certain times of year, like the winter when the ground was covered with snow, they had a very low intake of plant foods, but they would still trade for them. And then during the summer, when they were able to collect berries and things like that, they would definitely do that. So every culture that we know of that's been studied ate some combination of animal and plant foods. What ratio, what amount, that varies from place to place depending on where they are. But that's what the anthropological data show.
Yeah. There's actually, when you talk about this, two super cool pieces of data. I'll go quick. There's a professor at University of Pittsburgh, Stephen O'Keefe, who took 20 African Americans in Pittsburgh eating an inner city, not healthy diet, and 20 rural Africans in South Africa eating from the bush and largely plants, and they switched them for 20 days, and they measured every single thing they can measure in the microbiome, in their stool, metabolites, TMAO, and all the rest. Your body is so amazing that 20 days on a better diet, what I would call the rural African diet, a better diet, there was incredible changes towards health, making butyric acid, having bacteroides previtella, changes. And the rural Africans suffered American illness in terms of what you can measure within 2 weeks. Now there's data I just learned yesterday in Los Angeles that our microbiome changes in 5 days. You go to a low sugar, low protein plant diet. This is University of Southern California. I can tell you in 5 days, Michaela Peterson's microbiome would change. Would she feel better? I don't know. I'm just pointing out just the remarkable resiliency. And